Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis.
I'm Ethan.
And this is
Monster Comic Reviews.
Okay, this is for the third week of September. And what are we talking about first?
First up, we have Batwoman.
Issue 0. I actually kind of like this this issue. I thought that it was pretty good. I liked the backstory. It filled in more. It didn't tell us anything new, that's for sure. But at least it told us, gave us more of her connection with her father and how much the father crushed her and all that. And of course, the art was absolutely
awesome,
fantastic and whatnot. So yeah, I liked it. Did you like it?
I thought it was amazing. Okay. This is like the third issue 0 Batwoman though I've read. I think there was one for the original comic.
Yeah.
And then there's this one because all of them are doing issue 0s.
Right.
And then there was one for when she was in Detective Comics.
Right.
So this is actually the third one. And all three of them so far have been done really well.
Excellent.
I've been really impressed.
Yep.
And the art is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Right? I love J.H. Williams, how he goes all super crazy only when she's Batwoman or only when there's a Bat person.
Yeah. It was great. I would give it a definite high 4.
Yes, I would give it a higher 4 too.
Okay. Next, we're going to talk about Birds of Prey issue 0. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. I like how we kind of hear more about hear more about Black Canary's. Do you see something?
Maybe.
Is that?
Let's move this way.
Okay. We hear more about Black Canary's husband, and that was nice because, they just kind of dropped that part off a cliff. So, but we still really don't know that much about him, which is kind of disappointing, and I wish we did.
Yeah, all we get really is the how they kind of met each other, how Starling meets and whatnot. So Starling's obviously a criminal. She's not even a super spy. I mean, she's actually a criminal.
Yeah.
And I got the impression from the first issues, this issue is more of a kind of some sort of a super spy kind of a person.
But
so
she really isn't.
Right. This definitely portrayed her as a criminal.
Yeah.
But it was an okay comic.
Yeah.
But it falls under the meh of the issue 0s, I think.
I think I agree.
Okay, so I give it a 3.
I'd give it a 3 too.
Okay, what are we talking about next?
Next up we have Blue Beetle issue 0. What'd you think?
Whatever. I mean, finding out about the scarab and whatnot really wasn't that interesting to me. Really, it didn't tell me anything that I didn't already kind of know. I mean, it gives us kind of a history of this scarab got screwed up by the Green Lanterns and it's been kind of going wacky for a long time. I mean, it was amusing. I don't know.
I feel like I know Lady Styx from somewhere. Was she somebody of relative importance in the pre-52?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
But they say Lady Styx and it feels so familiar. She's super freaky though.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Of course, the Scarab has like the worst luck on the planet, the fact that he gets sent to possess Lady Styx and, somewhere where a Green Lantern happens to be at the time.
Right. Yeah, the Scarab probably definitely has some of the worst luck.
Yeah.
The worst luck that there is, that's for sure. But I don't know. I guess give it a week 3.
Yeah, week 3.
Yeah. So what are we talking about next? We're going to talk about Catwoman issue 0.
Okay, first of all, this is the epic spoof cover.
Yes, it is. They did correct it some, but it's still ridiculous butt shot flying through the air kind of thing. That makes no sense at all.
But
that's for sure.
On the other hand, it was nice to find out who all Selena Kyle is, besides the fact that she's just somebody who robs people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it sounds like it's really interesting because we know from past experiences that she's a Russian. Well, she's not Russian, but she's worked as a prostitute for the Russian mob before.
Right.
Because she beat up that one guy in the bathroom.
Right, but that doesn't show up at all.
No.
When did that happen? When was she this?
I don't know. When did she become the street worker?
Right.
So that was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we gotta find out how she was definitely a thief. She's just been kind of a thief from the start.
Uh-huh.
She's been a thief from the start, but she gets thrown out, and obviously she's not very good. She's not a good thief as she gets thrown out, but she gets put in this second chance program, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
That's a second chance program that doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist, right?
It doesn't exist, and neither does she.
Well, have they throw her off a building?
There is no Selena Kyle,
Yeah.
And so what they do is Selena, because she is who she is, researches.
Yep.
And she tries to find who she is, but there's no Selena Kyle. There's somebody who looks like her with some weird Russian name, but we don't know anything more than that, because after that she promptly gets thrown off a building.
Right.
And then as she comes back to research, there is none of this second chance program.
Right.
And the file that had her in it has been erased, and she doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There is no Catwoman, there's no Selena Kyle, there's no that Russian girl, there's nobody. She's completely gone. And that's a really interesting concept, so I hope they play more off of that.
Yeah, you know, something that you don't know because you haven't seen the Batman movie, and I don't know Catwoman's original story, to tell you the truth, how she came about being Catwoman. But in the movie, the first Batman movie, she falls out of a building or something like that. I can't remember the exact now because it's been so many years since I've seen it, and she lands amongst a pile of cats, and that's how she ends up with the whole cat, the whole cat thing. So I don't know, you know, if they pulled that into the comic from the movie. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give this a 3.
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't bad. It was interesting, but I wish they'd talk more about her street worker days, since so far a lot of the main focus of the comics has been her protecting the street workers.
What Judd Wittick put in the beginning with the whole prostitute stuff and that whole Russian mob thing, that got completely dropped, didn't it? I mean, it's really not in there at all. So, yeah, inconsistency, but okay, I guess, whatever. So what are we talking about next?
Next up, we have DC Universe presents issue 0.
Oh, yes. Okay, first thing that makes me mad about this is this comic was $6.
$6 freaking bucks for a single comic.
I didn't notice that when I was getting it. Granted, it's got more pages than it. Basically, it tells us.
It's not like it's filled with good things.
Right. It tells us a bunch of stories about all the characters who got their books canceled. It's got an OMAC story in it. Yeah, that was kind of whatever. It's got Hawk and Dove in it, written by Rob Liefeld. What a disaster right there.
God, it sucks so bad.
You know, and then we have. We have the Blackhawks one. You know what? That one was actually kind of interesting, the Blackhawks one.
And Mother Machine.
The Mother Machine,
really
kind of a Jack Kirby kind of a thing. That actually had some appeal to it.
Speaking of Jack Kirby, it was kind of annoying, though, the Checkmate OMAC kind of thing story. It took me forever to figure out that they were in space.
Oh, right. They were a satellite or something.
All the Kirby crackle all over the place. I was just like, where the heck is Brother Eye? It wasn't until they showed it like in between the Earth and the Moon that I figured out that, and we find out that Brother Eye is still Batman's creation.
Yeah, but out of control.
But it's gone crazy again. Although this time it looks like Batman's had nothing to do with the OMACs.
Right. What else was there? Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific.
We get before he goes through the portal and gets a kind of a flashback, and we find out that his whole son thing was actually a big bogus thing for this setup. They kind of tie that all together, which I thought was okay for what it was. The art was certainly better in it than the regular title.
Yes,
but,
that's for sure. But I could actually tell there was a distinct line across his face where his mask is, so it looks less like he got punched in the nose a few times. And maybe it's just me, but I don't think I'd put on a costume and blend my face to a mask.
Right.
I mean, even if I was serious. But he talks about how he's not quite sure this is a good idea. And I'm like, I wouldn't biomechanically fuse with that if I wasn't quite sold on it yet.
Right. Sounds pretty crazy. I can't remember who else is in the darn book. Anybody else?
One other person. Deadman.
Deadman. Yeah, they kind of start the portrayal out of Deadman, of how he gets started on his thing and whatnot. That was okay because I like Deadman. So this whole thing, was it worth the money? No,
it wasn't. No, if you haven't picked this up, if you're picking this book up off of the shelf, of course I can't imagine why you wouldn't have picked it up already because we're way behind everybody. But if you're just as behind as us,
don't bother.
Don't get it.
It's not something to go back and pick up.
It's not something you need.
Yeah, definitely. Blah. As a whole.
Not something you need or something you want.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about Punisher number 16,
the
final issue.
This is so depressing. It makes me so sad. This is one of the best comic book series I've ever read. Greg Rucka, you are an amazing writer. I salute you. It's too bad that you've now been screwed by both the big two.
Screwed.
Okay,
he just doesn't like how they're going to use the character. So after he's done with Punisher Warzone, he's done with the comic because he just doesn't like the direction they're taking it.
Yes, it saddens me, but I hope that Greg Rucka will write something better soon because I like him and he's obviously a really good writer. Batwoman and Punisher have been amazing. now to actually talk about the comic.
Right.
Punisherette is feeling guilty because she's killed a cop. She has killed our fan favorite cop.
Yep.
And she feels absolutely horrible about that, which makes sense. Usually if you kill cops, you'd feel bad about that too. But to the point where she tells Castle to kill her. And Castle says no. And this is where you find out the Punisher isn't dead. The Punisher isn't completely emotionless. As she talks about how she should be, how she thought she could be like him. Perfect.
Yeah.
But she isn't. And he told her, nobody should be like me.
Right.
And of course, he pulls the pin out of her gun so she can't shoot the cop. Right? And he beats up all the snipers so they don't
after
shoot her.
he lets her go, and of course she sets herself up to have everybody come and get her. She calls all the cops to come and get her. She knows they've traced her down. She knows they're going to come. They have snipers. They're going to kill her. She's going to go suicide by cop and have them wipe her out.
And she proceeds to beat everybody. And Punisher
sneaks up
to beat all the everybody but the detective.
Right.
Because the detective knows that what happened is, and he even knows that the Punisher didn't kill him.
Right. He knows it got out of control, and it wasn't the Punisher that did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really interesting. At one point, when he's telling the reporter that that we're coming after the Punisher, and he goes, well, and she's like, so what? You've always been going after the Punisher. And he's like, no, we really haven't. We really haven't gone after the Punisher at all. And now we're going to, and it's going to be horrible. It's going to be a wreck. Excellent comic, excellent series.
Yes, it was amazing.
5 all the way across. This would be something, if you didn't pick up the singles, please pick up the trade.
You owe it to yourself to buy this comic because it is amazing.
Outstanding.
It is amazing.
Outstanding.
I think this is my favorite comic that we've actually reviewed.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about next?
Next up, we have Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue 0.
This is bizarre in the fact that it basically sets up telling us that the Joker planned on killing Jason Todd the entire time, that Jason Todd's dad was part of his gang, and he knew about the kid. He sets the kid up to be Robin, kills the kid, fakes killing Jason Todd's mom,
right. and sends his dad away so he doesn't have any family ties whatsoever.
And the only part of it that backfires on him is that Jason Todd takes on Red Hood, which was his maiden name.
So what the hell? I'm assuming when he says his maiden name, I'm assuming that's before he became the Joker. I'm assuming he became the Joker when he's all toxic, right? Who is a Red Hood who's not Jason Todd?
We know the Red Hood's back from
Batman.
Right.
Holy crap!
And when they say, when we say the story is going to be continued in 2013, that's because by the time the whole Joker arc finishes, we're probably going to be in 2013, and we're going to find out exactly that this freaking Joker dude.
And Joker could figure out who Batman is if he thinks about it, because he realizes that Red Hood has become Robin.
Yeah.
Or that Jason's Robin.
Right.
So that means that he could figure out who Bruce Wayne is.
Who's to say he doesn't already know?
Who's exactly? Good point.
Well, the Joker's nuts. The Joker's nuts.
But Jason, who's Robin, is living with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on, to some degree, I guess you could go, maybe he's sneaking out at night. But come on, Bruce Wayne's rich, right?
Right.
So he could totally afford tons of toys.
Yeah.
Plus, he becomes Robin right after Bruce Wayne takes him in. You'd have to be stupid not to go for Bruce Wayne as Batman.
Here's the thing is
I'm not necessarily sure, on the other hand, the Joker cares.
Yeah, I see. I liked the ideas of the story and what it implies and whatnot. I don't know that it was completely well written and whatnot, as far as some of that stuff goes, but I like the whole implications and whatnot. It's pretty crazy. If you're into wanting to know the whole kind of tying all the Bat family stuff together and whatnot, I was just getting this book just so you can read it yourself and see how it ties it in. See how it ties this part of the whole implications around the whole Red Hood stuff, around those Red Hoods that were in the Batman books, if you're reading the Batman stuff and whatnot. Pretty crazy as far as that goes. Yeah, I give it about a 3.
I'd give it a 3.
Okay, next we're going to talk about The Shadow number 5.
This issue proceeds to be, this comic proceeds to be really good. We find out for sure who the Shadow is. We've confirmed that he's that super spy who randomly killed 100 villains.
Well,
Right. Because he's been trained by these.
He was a bad guy. He was a bad guy.
He was a horrible person.
That was in the last issue, though.
And then they brought him in. And these monks people brought him in, and they fixed him. And now he's the Shadow. And as he deals with as he deals with people and uses his powers, as we're starting to fully see what all he can do. I mean, besides the fact that he randomly appears with people, right? He proceeds to go beyond this time, hypnotizing the dead and making them stay alive long enough to give him information, in the sense that he kills a tiny soldier and sends him back to his camp for one last meal before he dies, which I think is great. And I think it also shows that he's a good guy in the sense that one last meal.
I don't think he's a good guy. I think he's a monster in his own right.
I think he's a.
I didn't say he was fighting a monster. He's fighting for America, and I guess he is fighting against the evils that are out there. But man, his application of justice is absolutely completely brutal.
Yeah, but so that was awesome. That was great. That, you know, with the whole
the whole setup.
Soldiers. And the fact that the Japanese soldiers totally set up Wong, which, to be honest, you know, with Kondo pulling all of his tricks,
we kind of knew that was coming.
Exactly.
And Wong was screwing them, though, too.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
He only had enough of the rock to fake a sample, and that was it.
Yeah, he had enough of the magic rock to fake a magic rock.
All right.
Which I thought was great, which I don't know. I feel like they should have seen it coming, personally. Yeah. Maybe that's just me, but I guess whatever. And I'm glad that I think it's interesting for the Shadow to talk with one of his cohorts before he's the Shadow. Oh. One of his cohorts they knew before he was the Shadow, when he was still his cohorts, and he talks about how all of his men are dying. Right? I love the fact that Wong is enough of a bull that he proceeds to, like, get shot in the head and doesn't die.
Yeah, he's a badass monster himself. Yeah.
So the Shadow, like, you know, shoots them all down. It was really good, though.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm pretty sure the Japanese general is going to kill himself.
Oh yeah, we assume that. Maybe he's going to cut off the head of the other guy first, though.
Yeah.
We're screwing it all up. But I say it's probably I would give it a 4. Yeah. Next issue is the last issue of this arc, so it'll be curious to see what it really tells us and stuff. Exactly what happens there.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we talking about next?
Okay. Next up, we have Supergirl issue 0.
Issue 0.
Yeah.
You know, this was okay. Kind of gives us how she got in the bubble and whatnot.
So I'm confused. When you take the trial on your planet, I know you get to wear the family crest.
Right.
Does that enable you the superpowers too? Because as we see, her mother is flying around too.
Was she? I don't remember seeing her fly.
She's at one point when she's coming to the lab. When she goes, what are you? Yeah. Right before
I think they can all fly. I
think
they can all fly, but they don't have the kind of power that she has.
They don't have the extreme. They don't have the extreme.
Because the yellow sun
strength. Because even though there's still those yellow colors in their sun, they don't actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have superpowers.
So but they have powers, but they aren't super. If that makes sense.
Right.
So.
Right. This is an okay comic. It's not one we could have missed. I don't know. I didn't think it really.
Although it was nice though, because we are explained what all is on the red crystal, so we know the person who's blasting her dad isn't
a bad guy.
Yeah, so on the other hand, to some degree, I'm glad that we got this that way later on down the road, because I'm sure it would have been all like, what the heck is this? They never covered this. I'm glad that we got this, so we could do that.
Yeah. It was okay. I'll give it a week 3. Yeah. Art was good, otherwise. And lastly, we have Wonder Woman issue 0. Another
great, good issue 0. It was great. We find out lots of interesting stuff about Wonder Woman. So she's pretty much okay. So her legitimate father is Zeus, right? She's the daughter of a queen of the Amazons, right? And she was pretty much fathered by Ares.
Mentored by war. Yeah.
Holy crap.
I think it's interesting as War seemed to have hope, and he had personality, and he cared. And, you know, we've seen him in his white suit walking around, and he doesn't give a crap.
He just doesn't.
He doesn't give a crap. Now he does. Here he
does. War isn't quite the thing that it used to be. It isn't quite the glory and the rare thing. It just constantly exists now, which I think is part of why he's old. Not because, you know, a long time has gone on, because he's a god, right? So he lives forever. Right. But I think it's because war is just so common now. It has stressed him out, and he is an old man compared to being the great god that he was.
Even in 0 issue, they make Wonder Woman an awesome story now with this new Wonder Woman.
Yes.
It's just great. Her as a little girl, it was an awesome thing, and the whole implications around war and all that stuff just made it really fabulous.
And as we find out that I mean, the greatest thing I think about Warren here is he spares Wonder Woman. He doesn't kill her.
Right.
I mean, because, you know, taking up steel against a man means you are prepared to fight to the death.
But she kind of still kind of goes her own way. She fights the Minotaur, beats the Minotaur, doesn't slay the Minotaur, and the Minotaur walks off. So she learns that she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to be...
Mercy is a legitimate thing, too.
Right. Of course, she's going to learn later on that letting these people live potentially is going to get her in trouble, too.
Yes.
Because they'll come back to get her. Okay, that's it for this week, isn't it?
What would we rate Wonder Woman?
I would give it a high 4.
Cool. I think I would, too.
Yeah. I think we need to get out of here. I think there's things following us.
I think we're being
And I think it's time to go.
I don't know what it is, though. I think we need to leave.
Run now, run!
Okay.
What the hell is that? I don't know.